What up, my Pineys? It's Tony D in the Piney Podcast, and little Joan here is to say hello. 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 Hello, South Jersey. So today's case total is about the same as yesterday. It's a little lower, so that's good. It seems to be plateauing. We're all waiting for it to go down. At this point, 2 weeks ago, where were we all? We were huddled in our houses. We had been through at least a week of this quarantine. Just the first week, there were still people kind of going out, but starting to take it pretty seriously by that point. And we were starting to watch Trump's press conferences on TV. So I think by this point, 2 weeks ago, most people were treating this at least seriously. Now, as I said on my travels, there's still a lot of people who they're not masked up and they're not gloved up, and before the mandatory order to wear face mask came down from Fuhrer Murphy, we we had this situation where people just weren't doing it. I don't know why, but as I said before, all the way up until I got laid off, I saw people coming into the business that I was working in, and they just didn't care. They just treated it like another day. The government is starting to push more draconian measures because people don't listen and use common sense. Now, I think a lot of these people who push these draconian measures are authoritarians. They push this stuff anyway, but you shouldn't give them a reason to push it. And really, you should use common sense. And common sense to me was gloves and mask, back in the day. It's a little too late to do that now, but now you have to do it. So I hope you got your mask. If you don't have your mask, use a bandana. But be warned that some of the cops are really going too far, and they're throwing people off of buses that wear a bandana or wear the wrong mask. So I don't know what to tell you. This could have been avoided in a more libertarian society. Everybody cries about their rights when there's a crisis. Nobody cries about them. During the crisis, people are willing to, we'll give up their rights. Dr. Fauci is now talking about a card that everybody would have to carry around if they were immune to the virus or already got it, recovered, or got a vaccine or whatever. Thanks a lot, Fauci. After your long after your long tenure as being a trusted member of the task force, now you're going to start to offer up stupid things like that. Nobody wants to carry around a card. The cards will be forged. People will talk their way through places where you need the card, supposedly. It's a dumb idea. It's a really dumb idea. Do not institute it. People will be furious if you do. I kind of don't think Trump is going to institute it. I can see Trump. He seems to have more common sense. He wants to go back to normal stuff. He wants to open up things again. Now, people are saying, oh my God, if you open things up, we'll have a second wave. These kinds of viruses have second waves. We're going to have a second wave. And generally, they say that the second wave is even worse than the first wave. I'm not sure how that works scientifically, but that's what they're saying. However, I think on a second wave of this, we could see be in a much better position, because people would be used to wearing masks and gloves, although they're forced, which I don't like. And we would have the respirators and hopefully the cure everybody would need, which, by the way, I cannot believe so many people are not taking this drug, this malaria drug. It'd be the first thing I ask for if I get sick. If I had to go to the hospital or the doctors, I'm going to be like, where can I get this malaria drug? I just go out and buy it. If my doctor wouldn't prescribe it, I'd go to a different doctor. I'd pay someone to prescribe the damn medicine to me if I had this. I mean, why wouldn't you take it? It's a tested drug. It has minimal side effects. I'm sure there's some side effects. I'm sure if you drink a bunch of aquarium cleaner, you'll die, but not if you take a prescribed drug and the dosages that they say. Joan's very upset by this. Anyhow, the thing is, we need to open things back up. We need to, because 6 months from now, when things are falling apart and everybody's out of work, Tim Pools today is reporting that food banks are running out of food. People didn't stock up. They didn't stock up. What are you going to do? People still wouldn't wear face masks. They didn't stock up. Some people, they just don't listen. They just don't care. They live their lives in a world in which they expect everybody to be, everybody has to have an imposition to their world. And it's these people that need to suffer the consequences. So they wake up. So they take responsibility. So they finally say, oh my God, yeah, I got terribly sick. I'm not going to let that happen to me again. Oh my God, I ran out of food. I'm not going to let that happen to me again. I mean, you have to wake up and take responsibility for yourself and not just sit around and stare at the Tiger King. Now, what can we do at this point? Well, again, plan for the future. I urge everybody to plant a garden. So you should be getting your sprouts ready. I should be getting mine ready, and I haven't. But I have access to more advanced farming stuff from my dad, so he's already got some sprouts going. He's already promised me some sprouts, so I actually don't have to do it because I know I've got those plants ready for me. Also, he has a whole farm, and so I'm kind of okay on that. I'm even sort of not totally psyched to do it here, only because I have such aggressive squirrels, and I need to get some planters. That's what I really need. I need to buy some planters. But my biggest worry is income. So, and because I live in South Jersey, where there are plenty of farms here, we'll have food. The question is, will you have food wherever you are? I don't know. I don't know what your food situation is. I don't know what your water situation is if you live on the West Coast. I have friends who live in Los Angeles. If the water goes out there, they better get the hell out. It's a bad situation if things go south in Los Angeles if you don't have, at least water. But we're not at that point yet, but we're headed there. We're headed there. If you live in a very expensive area and you're not working, man, you should really think about letting your lease end and moving to someplace cheaper. You really should think about that because, unless you're guaranteed work on the other end of this, you could be in the boat with a lot of other people. We could see a big mass migration out of the cities into cheaper areas simply because people can't afford to live in these cities anymore. And with the empty cities, you're going to have higher crime rates, and things are just going to fall to pieces in these cities because, how are you going to sustain them? New York could run out. If any city is going to run out of food in the United States, it would be New York first. And there are rumors of some shortages. I don't think that's a major factor in the United States, running out of food unless things really fall apart. But I think the economics of this could be that things fall apart enough economically that enough stores close that you could see, people being funneled to other stores. Right now, I think the stores are okay because from what I could see in the small interaction I've had with stores, they're actually doing a boom in business. The produce stand I went to had way more people than I expected, and they said, "Well, we're doing a boom in business." Same place everywhere I go. I try to find stores that are empty, that the parking lots are empty, and that was the case prior to the crisis. But everywhere I drive, it's just like, damn it, there's like 12 cars in the parking lot for a store that shouldn't have that many cars in the parking lot in the middle afternoon, like on a Tuesday. Because keep in mind, Captain Freelancer here, that's when I would shop. That's when I normally would do my shopping. Back in 2018, when I was doing nothing but freelancing, When I went to the store, it would be like a 2 in the afternoon on a Tuesday, and the store would be empty. There'd be a couple of employees there and like 3 or 4 customers. Go into a Target and it'd just be like a ghost town. It was great. I could buy everything. I didn't have to, you know, push around people. And now I try to do that. And there's still too many people because everybody's home. Everybody has nothing else to do. And then they get bored and they go, well, let's go shopping. That was fine in the pre-virus era. Right in the current virus era, like for instance, in my county, I think we're up to almost 1,200 cases. Yeah, so it's still trickling up in the county, and that's pretty much double since I talked to you. But it took about a week for that to double, little more than a week. So it's still out there, and you still don't want to get sick right now because we're at the peak. You don't want to get this while things are peaking, and there's going to be a post-peak where all the elective surgeries that they put off are going to have to be addressed, and they're going to finally say, okay, well we're going to decontaminate this wing of the hospital and do all our surgeries there and cut back on everything because we really got to get caught up on all these surgeries. And some people have stuff that if they let go too long, it could become life-threatening. So we really have to start thinking about opening up again. And you, Piney, have to think about the future. And I'm telling you to think about that now while you're sitting at home twiddling your thumbs rather than wait until you're out of money or you're out of food or you're out of options. Start, doing the research now to get new gigs. Start getting your resume together. Start doing the things you need to do to move on from this and go back to some semblance of normal life. Now, I have a very crazy, abnormal life, so don't go by me. But, I jump from job to job as a freelancer and as a guy who struggles to stay in freelancing sometimes. So don't go by me. I'm not an example of a guy who's work steady. But if you are, and especially if you have a family, now is the time to start making those plans and start budgeting your money and your food and everything to get your ducks in a row. So when you come out of this, you can hit the ground running. You can start applying for work. Keep applying now. Keep putting out the emails, and hopefully at the end of all this, we can all move on and rebuild. And I think we will. I'm pretty optimistic, but I think we'll have a few rough months this summer where people are like, God, what am I going to do for work? And some people will have it really rough. And I hope we could all come together as a society. Even though I'm libertarian, I'm a compassionate person. I want people to live. So I hope we could all come together and help each other and make South Jersey great again.